Hello everyone, long time no see, but we're back with another episode of Tom's Gaming World. This is episode 4 and I've been away for a while, but now I'm back and we're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on in my gaming world, as that is what this series is all about. It's a handheld video diary kind of thing, so don't expect massive production values from this little series. It's not the idea, but we're just going to talk a little bit about what's happening in my gaming life. Now, I've been away for a while, so I bought a few games as away, played a few games. Once I got back to the UK, there are a few things I ordered that I've been checking out since I got back. But the biggest purchase that I've made recently has been something you might have already seen if you follow our Instagram channel, and that is it's the 32X here, connected to my Mega Drive 2 with a copy of Star Wars Arcade inside, which is actually a rather good game, I'll have you know. And next door to that is the Mega Drive I wanted to connect my 32X to. Right, so the reason why it's connected to the Mega Drive 2 and not the original Mega Drive is because you need a converter cable, and the 32X I bought didn't come with that converter cable. There's a longer story to this. Originally I bought another 32X with all the cables, everything, but it didn't work. I had to send it back. So this is the second one, and it works straight out of the box, which is over there. Really happy with it actually, and primarily got it to play Knuckles Chaotix, and that's the reason why I want to play it on this Mega Drive over here, because that Mega Drive will play games from any region. Now, the way I understand it is the 32X itself doesn't have any sort of region locking on it. It's based on whatever system it's plugged into. So hopefully, fingers crossed, once that's plugged in to the Mega Drive 1, then I can play this US copy of Knuckles Chaotix, because there was no way I was going to pay the prices that PAL copies are going for. This was about £45, okay, which is a lot for any video game, especially something that's unboxed, any retro game anyway. I don't think I've ever spent more than £60 on a retro game, and that's Conker's Bad Fur Day, box complete, probably a very good price for it nowadays. So I was determined not to spend the earth on getting to play this game, which I know I can play on emulators, but I want to play it on a 32X, on the original hardware, you know, everything legit. So if we go a bit closer to the 32X, you can see it's a beast, isn't it? It's a lovely looking thing, and Sega really knew how to design this hardware. Now, it sits quite high on the Mega Drive 2, and I'll show you why. So to explain why, it's got a spacer. So this bit of plastic here trucks onto the bottom and enables a nice snug fit on the 32X. Now, it doesn't need that on the original Mega Drive, but for the Mega Drive 2 it does, and because of the kind of cables I've got at the moment, I can only connect it to the Mega Drive 2. If I don't have that converter cable, I've ordered a special converter cable, not too dissimilar to this one, which allows you to get the stereo audio, or any audio in fact, out of the Mega Drive when connected by SCART. Oh, it gets complicated, doesn't it? But what's complicated is the back of this thing, because I don't know if I can show you very well, but you've got a few cables. The one on the far left is the power cable. The one on the far right is a connection to the TV, and the one there in the middle connects it to the Mega Drive 2. Now, because the Mega Drive 1 connection into the back of the console is much bigger, there was originally a converter cable, which I've explained. It unfortunately didn't come with that. So that is the saga of the Mega Drive 32X. So I've got my fingers crossed, once this cable arrives from Poland, in fact, I'll be able to play Knuckles Chaotix on the Mega Drive 1. And yeah, that's the long and short of it all. In terms of anything else here in this room today. There's been a couple of odd pickups here and there, and as far as retro things go, there's these Super Nintendo games. Now unfortunately, I do not know the names of all these games when they come into focus. All I can read there is Blues, of course, but it's a fighting game, and so is this one. I know what this one's called actually. This is Super Chinese Fighter. This one here, I don't know what it's called. And this one here, I also don't know what it's called, but it looks like the same character designer as Fist of the North Star, but a more feudal Japanese type aesthetic. So that's some of the Super Nintendo pickups. There's been things for the GameCube there. I got B-Rally 3, which is actually a lot of fun. Oh yeah, here you can see the Sonic 10th anniversary, which there's an unboxing of on the channel if you want to check that out. Also a box copy of Samurai Spirits for the Super Nintendo, which we all know as Samurai Showdown. Very very nice, that lovely condition box copy of it. And up here we have King of Fighters EX Neo Blood, which plays very well. It's a version of King of Fighters 99 for the Game Boy Advance. A couple of cute little toys that I picked up while I was away. And lastly, I think, unless I'm forgetting something else, Astro Go-Go, which is F-Zero type racing game for Super Nintendo, which has amazing design and plays pretty well as well. It's maybe not as good as F-Zero, but it's a bit different because it has a different angle to it, and I think there's some sort of power-ups and things from what I remember. So that's pretty much all I have to show you in here, but if we go upstairs then we can see what else is going on. Howdy doody, so here we are in the modern gaming room, which is also doubles as my computer room. There's my computer there, and in here we have the PS4. Now this is new, this is a 2TB hard drive, meaning I have more storage now on that than I do on this Xbox One with two external hard drives on it. So this is running low now, so mostly anything new I get will probably be PlayStation 4. Before I was previously balancing it out, so I was making the best use of the hard drive space I had on both systems, but now I have substantially more on the PS4, which rhymes, funnily enough. And up here, can we see any new PS4 games? That's a good question, because there's The Crew 2, which if you check out our YouTube channel, you can find a Tom Plays video of me playing the Crew 2. I've also digitally picked up Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, and I feel like there's something else on PS4 that I got recently that I've maybe just put away in this lineup, but no, maybe not. But if we take a look over here, we can see that I've been playing Battlefront 2, which is very difficult actually. I've got it for the single player. The single player is quite stoppy and starty. I find myself dying a lot having to replay sections of it. There's a copy of Worms WMD, which I think is new. You might not have seen that before, so I now have that on every system because I collect Worms games like a crazy person. I've got Titanfall 1 because it was like a couple of quid, and here's a good new one. That's Spyro Reignited Trilogy. And if we go further down, we've got a new edition here, Dead or Alive 6, with the world's most least creative cover they could have gone for this game, but there you go, that's the cover of it. And further down here we have a really fantastic, fun arcade style racing game that I enjoy a lot, and that is Gravel. So that's where we're at with those games. And over here is where I keep the Switch games, just behind all these other things. And the newest game that I've got here, here's this isn't new, but just to show it, Worms WMD on the Switch as well. Happy to have that. Yeah, just to show it. Yes, we have South Park: The Fractured But Whole. Have yet to play this, but really happy to have finally got the Switch copy. I was waiting for this to come down in price because I really wanted it on the Switch. So that's where we are with addition to this room. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a show and tell of the Super Nintendo fighting games that I picked up, and I'll show you what to avoid and maybe what's probably worth your time, if you like fighting games, of course. Or if you're just curious, then check it out. So here we have the first game running on the Super Retron HD here. So this game is pretty terrible. You seem to have two attack buttons and you can't seem to jump kick or punch in the air either. I can't work out doing special moves, and there's a terrible lag on any sort of input, and that's nothing to do with the console or anything like that. That's just the game, unfortunately. So yeah, graphics are okay, I guess, but everything's just all a bit stiff and lacking much animation. I would not recommend this game if you see it around, I'm afraid. But let's move on to the next one. And the next game we'll be taking a look at is Super Chinese Fighter. So this game is a lot better. You can see it from the off. There's an amazing amount of characters and some good variety in them. Great character designs as well. And also you can do some extra things here, like I'm not sure what this screen does here, but on the next screen you can kind of get a weapon and you use in the battle as well. So yeah, the animation's really nice. It's pretty easy to pick up and play. Street Fighter special moves apply, so they'll quarter circle punch, quarter circle kick. It's responsive, it's pretty fast. I realised that I was playing this on PAL, so this was actually not running its full speed when I was playing it. So if you do get this, you'll probably be able to play it a little bit faster, but for next game I've switched it to NTSC, so it should run a little bit faster. Anyway, so I could really recommend this. This is a really good fighting game. If you're a fan of fighters in general and want something good for your Super Nintendo, then Super Chinese Fighter is really worth your time. So this game's not too bad. It seems based on a manga or anime of some kind. It doesn't seem particularly exciting when it boots up. There's a lack of music, but there are plenty of characters at least. I picked this guy because he looked kind of cool. And then when you actually get into the fighting, the thing you'll notice is it's not that responsive. It's not as bad as the first game we looked at, but it isn't as responsive. But it's a bit better than that game. Not quite as good as Super Chinese Fighter by any means, but yeah, you can see it's got sort of a real world type vibe to it, so don't expect to be doing any Hadoukens or anything like that. I couldn't pull off any like crazy super over the top special moves. It seems like it's a very realistic type brawler, maybe something like Virtua Fighter for instance. Doesn't play anywhere near as good as Virtua Fighter, I'm afraid to say, but at least it plays better than the first game we looked at, which I still can't tell you the name of. Anyway, I'd say this is okay. If you're a fan of fighters, you might be interested in adding this to your collection, but I wouldn't go out of your way to seek this particular game out. Lastly, we have this one, which is a Fist of the North Star type game. Let's see how it fares, shall we? So yeah, this is certainly something in the Samurai Spirit / Samurai Showdown mould. There's actually a lot of attention to detail in this game, and from the way you can drop your weapons to the way when you lose, if you're fighting in the water, your body will float slightly. Nice little bits of animation here and there. It's a little slow, but not bad. This is probably on par, if not a little better than the last game we looked at. So it's cool to have the weapons and be able to pick up those dropped weapons as well. And yeah, it creates quite an interesting little fighting game here. So yeah, maybe this one's worth taking a look at, but again, it's definitely not a must buy. So, that's it. Thanks for checking out the episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. We did something a little bit different here, and we actually looked at some games in a bit more detail, and also recorded some gameplay footage rather than me just filming off the screen. Initially I was doing that to go for a more sort of video diary-like feel, but I think you guys want to see the games as best as they can possibly be presented to you, and showing them on the TV doesn't always do them justice. So went a bit further with this one. Let me know if you like it, and until we see you again for another episode of Tom's Gaming World, which I hope won't be too long away, game on. See you again. Bye.